In a lot of ways, the campus and the community start to kind of like own these events. I mean, we still do a ton of work to promote and bring new ideas, but like when we're just out and about, people like we hear people talking about Granfalloon just sort of like, walking into work, and like First Thursdays kind of just has like this like natural draw now, and it's been really great to, I think, see folks own these public arts and humanities festivals.
Ain't it great? Season 8. We're back with the No Dishes podcast. Once again, brought to you by our friends at Visit Bloomington. Check them out at visitbloomington.com. It's a great resource, even if you're just a local looking for something to do. Also, all of our other advertisers on this episode, they help make this whole thing possible, so please show them some love. Anyways, play that theme song.
Hey, say, honey, let's go out to eat. Relieve our culinary duties. With all these restaurants to sweep us off our feet, they're bound to turn us into foodies. No dishes, no dishes, no dishes. We'll have a bottle of wine for lights and have a good time. No dishes, no dishes.
Granfalloon, it's coming very, very soon. It's put on by the IU Arts and Humanities Council, and I would love to tell you all about it, but I only know so much. So for that, we have Gerard and Adrian. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us on, Gerard.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, we've been working together for years now. I've had the opportunity to help organize the food trucks for Granfalloon and then Chocolate Mousse. I've been down there myself making shake-ups, slinging ice cream, and it's just such a cool utilization of Kirkwood. And a lot of it is what inspired some of the stuff that I'm doing with Taste. Watching what you guys have done with Granfalloon and what Pride Fest has done and Lotus, and just I'm like, oh, I want to do this and just have even more food because that's how I am. So for the uninitiated, what is Granfalloon?
Oh boy.
I know it's a very wide open question.
Yeah. It's a lot of things. I think, at its core, it's a celebration of art, ideas, and community in Bloomington. It's a campus community crossover event. And of course Vonnegut.
Okay, I was like, where's the magic word?
Yeah, right. Kurt Vonnegut sort of is the presiding spirit of the festival as a Hoosier author, as sort of a proponent of the arts, as a way of both being good for the individual, but also being good for the collective, for the community.
Okay.
So that's his connection, and with his archives being at IU at the Lilly Library, it just sort of seemed like a natural fit. I'll admit, neither Adrian or I were around when the Granfalloon, as a festival was created. We've inherited it.
Okay, well, a pretty cool thing to take a hold of.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So how long has it been going on, and when did you guys kind of get the reins?
Yeah, so this has been going on since 2018, I believe. So this is the 6th Granfalloon Festival.
2020 taking off, obviously.
And 2021 as
okay.
well. Yeah, so we're back. This is my 4th Granfalloon since I've been on the staff, and it's just continued to grow and gain more partnerships. It's definitely a festival that's built on partnerships in the community. Like you said, trying to get people to come downtown Bloomington and celebrate this community for all the creative assets that it has, as well as connect it back to campus. We take seriously Kurt Vonnegut's sort of plea for people his to engage in creative practice. He took a really creative or democratic approach to practicing art, no matter how well or how badly. And so we try to encourage everyone to participate in some way to engage in artistic practice.
That's awesome. I mean, I've been involved now for a few years in this very small way. And people ask me about it. I'm like, oh, it's this Kurt Vonnegut festival. Is what, you know what I mean? So even after just your two answers, I feel like I already have a much broader, better understanding of what Granfalloon is and what its purpose is.
Right.
And I love that you mentioned it's this collaboration between the city and IU. And I feel like that's something a lot of people want to see more of. IU at times can seem very isolated. And, I work with people at the city all the time on different stuff and with IU, and they want to collaborate, and then certain things come up and it just doesn't happen. So to see it happen in this kind of grand way is really cool. And I think, don't let me speak for you, but it almost seemed like last year was this, or last year, 2 years ago, was this breakthrough coming out party for Granfalloon because you had the Flaming Lips.
Oh yeah.
And I know that was a really, really big name for you guys to have, and it was such a cool event.
That was a leveling up of the of the festival for sure. I mean, the year before that, we felt really lucky. We had car seat headrests, we had Japanese breakfast, right. We booked her 9 or 10 months out, and then in that 10 months is when she blew up. Like when Crying in HMAR got really big. But yeah, so that festival was our first venture onto Kirkwood. Okay. And it was we were figuring that whole thing out. And then when it was a success, that's when let's go another one.
But when I remember that one, and I guess I didn't even realize it had been going on for those years before. Before it was this culmination of a big concert on Kirkwood, because it's multiple days. The main day is June 7th, but there's stuff going on days before, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So we've extended it even into the spring semester, again, to try to connect, Granfalloon with the campus community.
Nice.
But we've got a film series going on in partnership with IU Cinema and Can Cinema in Indianapolis. We've been kind of spread some of our programming up there, where the Kurt Vonnegut Museum and Library is, and Indiana Humanities. We've got some great partners up in Indy as well. Cicada Cinema in town has been a part of that film series. So
I've been meaning to reach out to them to do an episode with Cicada. So I'm glad you mentioned them.
Yeah, you should do that for sure. Great to work with. We have authors come visit campus and give talks. We have art exhibitions. We're working with local artists to do community engaged art projects, again, inspired by Kurt Vonnegut and his life and work. So really something for everyone during the festival.
Well, and it reminded me, you talking about the Japanese breakfast and booking them and then her blowing up. It was very similar for the Visit Bloomington concert series when they booked Molly Tuttle.
Oh, yeah.
And then she won the Grammy for Best Bluegrass Album, and she was already booked. And so they just had all these people come out. Yeah. So I had almost the same thing happen when I bought tickets to see Glass Animals, and then Heat Waves came out and they blew up. Yeah. And I could have flipped those tickets for so much, but I was like, no, I want to see it. And I'm so glad I did. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But just everything that you guys do, you guys have been so helpful as I've been trying to navigate my way through organizing Taste of Bloomington on Kirkwood, just picking your brain. And it's just so nice to see that collaboration. And I'm just very grateful for you guys helping out with that. Let's talk about June 7th. It's the big day. What do people have to look forward to this year?
A lot of things, which is when you ask us what is Granfalloon, what's there to look forward to? So much.
Where do I start?
We will be out there on Kirkwood with one of our primary partners, of course, the Bloomington Handmade Market. That was sort of a part of coming onto Kirkwood Avenue when we started that back in 2022, was kind of joining forces with Talia and her crew, and that's been a really great and logical partnership. So that event takes place during the day, and we of course have programming and booths, partner booths, and food trucks, and a second stage of community musicians and performers. Folks like Girls Rock Bloomington and Busman's Holiday will be there this year, along with some Jacobs musicians and the Cosmic Songwriters. And we'll have arts activities going on. And all of that is sort of building up to the concert starting at 4 p.m. Tortilla Jackson, a local Afro-Caribbean group, will open. And then it's, a slate of Murder by Death playing what could be their last show in Indiana.
Wow.
They're on their farewell tour. This is their one stop in Indiana this year. And, unless something crazy happens and they get back together, this could be like your last chance to see them in Bloomington.
Super cool. Yeah.
And then of course These Sacred Souls, and then the big one, the headliner Mavis Staples, closing it at the end of the night.
So what's that process like when you guys are looking at who do we want to get? Can we get car seat headrest? Can we get the Flaming Lips? How many of you guys are sitting around talking about your options, and then how do you ultimately decide on this is who our kind of headliner is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It sometimes feels like, maybe we have a dartboard. We just throw and see where we land. But we try to, take a thoughtful approach to this. Every year we pick a Kurt Vonnegut book to sort of base the festival themes around. This year's Cat's Cradle. There's some religion elements in that book. And we thought, it'd be a great time to sort of pursue Mavis Staples, just a soul gospel legend, is a name that rose up to the top when our team was getting together early on to discuss who we might try to bring this year. But that said, we try to kind of form an eclectic lineup. Again, trying to get groups that speak to different audiences and recognizing the diversity of audiences in our region and trying to make sure that there's something for everyone. Yeah,
I feel like you guys nail it year after year, and it's really cool to see. What's that process like when you're trying to book these bands or these artists, and you get them booked, and then the process of getting them booked, and then also the hospitality, like the day of, how extensive can that, get? Are you wanting to move better, feel better, and live better? Look no further than Move Bloomington, where their small group personal training programs are designed to improve strength, balance, and flexibility. With a welcoming environment, their expertly guided workouts can help you feel supported in the life and activities you love in and out of the gym. Whether you're new to exercise, a lifelong athlete, or anywhere in between, their dedication to personalized programming will deliver sessions that meet you where you are. Get started today using the code NODISHES to get 50% off their 3-session Kickstart program.
With everything else going on, it can be a lot, but we've lucked out with most of the groups being pretty reasonable to work with, which is helpful. And then of course, a lot of great community partners. We work with, in the past, we've worked with folks at Uptown, folks at Upland, folks at Bloomington Brewing Company, lots of other local partners that I know I'm leaving
it's
out.
so tough to go through all of them. Yeah.
I know I'm leaving out right now. But I think, between our own small but mighty and dedicated staff, the groups being, big, but not so big that they're, unreasonable to work with, and our local partners, that sort of helps us get the hospitality thing under control.
That's great. So no one's hit you with the only all brown M&Ms or anything like that?
No.
Okay, that's good.
Nothing like that. It's usually, we need some vegetarian options. We need some gluten-free options. We need some of these things. I remember the Flaming Lips were really pumped when we brought them Buffaloes.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
Because I think some of the guys, they got into town a couple days early, and some of the guys had we went there last night. It was awesome. Woo. So when we showed up with that for dinner, they were like, all right.
Yeah, let's go. We already know this is great. I feel like I was at Fat Dan's or something a day or two before, and saw the front man just walking around. And and that's, I've seen that with artists in the past. I got to hang out with Modest Yahoo behind the bus curve once for 10 minutes. Yeah. He was just super chill and cool. No one's bothering him. And he was happy to have conversation. And I love that artists can come to Bloomington and have that vibe and just walk around and enjoy the city for what it is, and not just get hassled because a local, even though I went up to Modest Yahoo. But anyway, he was cool with it.
Speaks to the hospitality of downtown Bloomington and Kirkwood. When the Flaming Lips were here, Wayne Coyne and his son were just walking around town. People saw him throughout the day. And so I just think that, everything's walkable and right there. And like Gerard said, we've got great partners in the industry downtown, and another shout out to our awesome staff and volunteers that come out and help us out. We're certainly running around on that Saturday, trying to make sure that we're being, hospitable and, getting the artists what they need.
That's great. Yeah. One of the things I've been just I don't know, just fretting over a little bit for Taste of Bloomington is like that day of.
Oh, yeah.
And how to communicate between people and all that. And so if you think I'm done asking you questions, I'm not. I'm going to continue to ping you, text you, email you, be like, Gerard, how do you guys do this? Because I've already done quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely
do the same.
Get a good pair of shoes.
Okay, yeah, nice. There you go.
Yeah, make sure you're stretching those calves. You're staying
Staying
hydrated.
Sunscreen.
For sure. Sunscreen.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. Because I would have thought I've got some on clouds that are decent.
Yeah.
Definitely was going to stay hydrated because I know it's going to be August, it's going to be hot. But I didn't give a single thought to sunscreen.
Well, easy to forget.
I'll get you.
we actually have a staff role that's sort of actually a member of our team that takes health and wellness very seriously.
Oh, nice. There you go.
It keeps us in line.
Yeah.
So thanks, Aaron.
The strength and conditioning coach of the team.
Yes.
So in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, you had to buy tickets.
Yes.
But this year,
Yeah. Well, how
does that all work for those that want to attend?
I'll qualify that a little bit. The event has always been free, but there have been ticketed sections. So
Gotcha. Okay.
There was a pit and there was a side stage.
Okay.
We have basically eliminated those ticketed sections this year. There will still be a pit, just for safety reasons, wanting to kind of like break up the crowd a little bit. But that will be a first come, first serve.
Wow.
So yeah, if you want to see, These Sacred Souls, Murdered by Death, Mavis Staples up close, get there early, camp out, wear a diaper. I don't know.
Like, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but if I were going to do it, this is how I would approach it.
Right. Yeah. So, it'll just be a 1 in, 1 out there. But, anyone kind of within the proximity of the, 200 block of Kirkwood should be able to see and enjoy the show.
Amazing. And it's just one of the many things that I love about Bloomington is stuff like Granfalloon, and that you have these opportunities that anyone in the community can come and enjoy. It's not exclusive. It's not, you have to have this amount of money sitting around. And it's just, again, it utilizes Kirkwood, which is such a cool thing.
Right.
Just like when you have all those people down there and that energy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've ever talked about it on here. I found this out last year, and it came to me as soon as we started talking. I think you guys will appreciate this. You follow with me though.
All right.
I promise there's a payoff. So my great granddad built a lake house up in Culver, Indiana on Lake Maxinkuckee in the 1930s. Okay. And his two sons, one was my granddad, one was my Uncle Steve. We were looking through old photos at the lake house last year, and there's a picture, and it's Steve with Mrs. Vonnegut. They had his birthday party at the Vonnegut's house on Lake Maxinkuckee, and Kurt's written about his summers on Lake Maxinkuckee.
Oh my gosh.
And so there's a Vonnegut house on Lake Maxinkuckee, and I always knew about the Vonnegut house and his connection to it, but I never knew that my family knew the Vonnegut family. Whoa. And I was like, and that blew my mind. I was like, that's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, if there was ever a time to share that and talk about it, I was like, this is the time, because we're talking about him anyway. Sure. So I'll be up there in like a week. I'm going to take a picture of that and send it to you guys, because I was so stoked when I saw that. I'm like, that's so wild. So it wasn't like his parents, I can't remember what his relatives were that lived there, but he would stay summers there and just wrote about how much he loved the summers on Lake Maxinkuckee.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I've just been going up there
story.
every summer I've been alive, and it's just like, that's like my favorite place in the world is that lake. Yeah. And so to have that kind of shared experience is pretty sweet.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, I think that's one of the coolest things about Granfalloon. We get to hear stories like that every year, where people show up at the festival and either his writing has impacted their life or inspired them in some way, or maybe they're new to Vonnegut, but now they're changed because of some experience they've had. Yeah. And so, it's a small world.
Just bringing everybody together, having those stories is awesome. So we haven't, and I, actually don't know much myself, as many years as we've worked together now, about both of your stories and your background. So I'd love to kind of hear more about you guys and where you came from and how you ended up to where you're at today.
How far back you want to go?
Go all the way back, man. We got time.
I guess I'll start with coming to the council. I came to the council in February of 2019.
Okay.
So that was like right before the second iteration of the Granfalloon. That back when Nico Case played, Duran Jones played, Krungbin, kind of before Krungbin blew up, played at the Bluebird.
Wow. Okay.
And
then Duran's also blown up.
Yeah.
Too.
Right.
It's wild to see how far he's come.
Duran Jones was like the opener of that main stage concert, which used to be in the Upland. I was confused. This the Upland parking lot.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't realize it used to be back there.
Yeah.
I love that stage. And that space.
Yep.
It's so cool when they get it.
It was tucked in back there. So yeah, I joined a couple months before then. Ran or helped sort of put that Granfalloon on. And then looking into that next year, looking into 2020, we were going to be moving into a new space into Maxwell Hall, which is where we are now. And our director at the time was like, you know what? I think let's take the year off. Let's take 2020 off. But and this is before any of the COVID stuff, which turned out to be
You're like, are you psychic?
Yeah, right. And then,
there's something you're not telling us.
And actually, back then, the Murder by Death was in contact with us about like, oh, hey, can we play the 2020 Fest?
Oh, really? Nice.
And we were thinking about it, but then we were like, oh, actually, no, we're gonna take the year off and we'll come back in 2021. And then, of course, what happened.
Right. Yeah. You're like, I don't even need to tell you what happened.
Yeah. So but there was a time where I'm a program and operations coordinator with the Arts and Humanities Council. So I do Granfalloon, I do First Thursdays. As of course part of our staff team. But there's a part where I was like, I'm a program coordinator who does large outdoor public festivals, and like 2 years I've been working through COVID, which is like,
how did this happen?
I've done more virtual events than like I've done like actual outdoor events.
This is not what I was promised.
No, yeah. So, but yeah, the last 4 years, we've had. First Thursdays has grown quite a bit. Granfalloon, of course, has grown quite a bit, and it's been really rewarding to see. I think in a lot of ways the campus and the community start to kind of like own these events. I mean, we still do a ton of work to promote and bring new ideas, but like when we're just out and about, people like we hear people talking about Granfalloon just sort of like walking into work, and like First Thursdays kind of just has like this like natural draw now, and it's been really great to I think see folks own these public arts and humanities festivals in the way that they have.
That's awesome. It's got to be very fulfilling. I know I've talked about it so much. The feeling I get at a busy food truck Friday.
Oh my gosh.
Be like, I helped make this happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's how you felt when the Flaming Lips were bringing out their big balloons, and you're just like, I was a part of this, and all these people are enjoying the fruits of my labor. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Can you go back just a little bit about where you were raised and how you ended up at IU, kind of?
Oh my gosh.
Check to you this summer. It's the Smithville Communications Summer Concert Series in Ellettsville. Brought to you by B97 and Hoosier Country 105.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Enjoy live music every Saturday from May 24th through July 26th. That's 10 weeks of music every Saturday evening from 6:30 to 8. Located at the Marcy Jane Lewis Park. And did I mention it's free? Dance the night away with the Smithville Communications Summer Concert Series in Ellettsville.
Better business, better community. For over a century, the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce has been a cornerstone of business growth and community development. They are dedicated to helping local businesses thrive. Their business is all about your business. Join the Chamber today. Call 812-336-6381 or visit chamberbloomington.org to learn more.
Sure.
Yeah, we're going way back. We're diving deep.
Dang.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was born in Chicago, but then grew up in Northwest Indiana in a small town called Chesterton.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So for all the region rats out there.
I've heard it. I've known enough region rats that I know of Chesterton.
Folks from Chesterton, we're a small town, but we actually have a pretty strong presence here in Bloomington.
Yeah.
So yeah, I lived and grew up there. Went to school at DePaul University.
L or W?
In Greencastle.
Okay,
with a W, and you'll hear his side of that later.
Oh, perfect.
Wabash grad over here.
Oh, no, all right.
Get into the Monroe Bell.
Do we need to separate you guys? I'll hop over there. Yeah. No, I had friends that went to Wabash, and anyway, we can dive into that.
And I studied English writing, creative writing at DePaul. Took some time and then kind of moved to Bloomington on a whim with my then girlfriend, now wife. And we came to Bloomington to be artists. I played music and she was a painter, and we kind of I'm not a musician anymore, and she's not a professional painter, but we kind of found our way into the art scene in other ways. Me through sort of coordinating arts events, and I'm also with the Bloomington Arts Commission. and she was working at the Buzzkirk Chumley Theater for a while, and now kind of does like freelance creative work. So like we in a way we kind of like figured it out and made it work here.
Yeah, no, I mean, not just in a way, you did. You absolutely did. It might not have been how you originally envisioned it, but you're still in those fields, in those areas, and doing well for yourself.
Yeah, and now we have a young son, and which is in Bloomington's a great place to have a kid, to be an artist, to be working in the arts, to be working in community events, and we love it here.
I'd imagine there's not a better place to live in Indiana if you want to be in the arts, if you want to, than Bloomington.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, I'll just go out on a limb and say that.
Agreed.
Adrian, how about yourself? Thanks for sharing, Gerard.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And even though he went to DePaul, I'm glad Gerard is here and leading the way in Granfalloon and First Thursdays. He's sort of our festival, big event mastermind, and does an amazing job. So, my story is similar in some ways, different in others. I'm from a small town in Indiana, Crawfordsville, and grew up there, went to college there at Wabash College, and moved down to Bloomington thinking I'd be here for a year or two while my now wife was finishing school at IU. She's a year younger than me, and that was 17 years ago.
There you go, yeah.
Right? And that's how it happens.
No, I feel you. I mean, I moved to Bloomington 16 years ago and thought it was just going to be a short stay, move on to somewhere else. I always wanted to move somewhere warmer, and Bloomington just sucks you in, man.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I still have a lot of family in Indiana, so I always felt like even if we went away, we'd maybe come back, that boomerang effect. Mm-hmm. We ended up staying. I worked for a while for Habitat for Humanity in town and helped build some houses for about 6 years, and then went back to graduate school and studied arts administration. I got to know a lot of students in the program at the O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs while I was working at Habitat. Some were volunteering. My wife worked at the O'Neill School. So our friend group were sort of aspiring arts administrators, and I started to see that as an interesting career path. I always felt most connected to Bloomington by being involved in the arts. I've played music on the side some, but my wife is a dancer and a choreographer. So we were involved in pre-kids anyway for us, some of the local theater scene. And so I ended up going back to school for that and worked for the State Arts Commission for a while, and then came back to IU in 2018 when the Center for Rural Engagement opened up. Okay. And that was my connection to the Arts and Humanities Council. The council was at the table trying to figure out how to use all of the arts and humanities resources at IU and take them and make them a little more outward facing and help in service to the region, help build bridges and connections and relationships with rural communities in South Central Indiana. So got involved in that work and started working with guys like Gerard and Ed Dallas Comantale, the founding director of the council in the Granfalloon, and some of the staff members, and then joined the council formally in 2022. After COVID. But I've been here ever since, and we've got 2 little girls now. They're not so little anymore. 9 and 11. And so, as Gerard said, just a great town to raise a family in. And we feel like we're really ingrained in the community here.
It's great. I mean, you guys are both selling Bloomington very well, unintentionally.
Yeah, come to Bloomington.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, Visit Bloomington's our presenting sponsor. On that note, if you had someone coming in from, out of town, you're like, hey, here's like a non-foodie thing that like you have to do. I know you guys might be biased, but what would you suggest to them?
A non-foodie thing. Oh man.
We'll dive into the food stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll vamp a little bit by saying that, like, I think if you're, unless you're really not looking around, it's hard to be bored in Bloomington.
Right. Yeah.
Between all the amazing creatives in town doing interesting stuff, all of the stuff going on campus, all of the cool shops, and of course the sports scene here as well. Like there's just always something going on, always good food to eat, things like that. I'm definitely partial to if you got kiddos, stop by Wonder Lab.
100%. I
Yeah,
almost
right.
wore my Wonderland because we had Alicia in Dallas, their new exec director, on here recently, and they brought me a shirt, and I almost wore it. And I didn't because it was wrinkly. I needed to.
Yeah, I mean, just on a normal day, but they do really cool things like Bubble Fest or things like that.
Yeah,
and our kiddo never gets bored of going there.
Well, and we were even talking on the episode with them, like I always usually just go there when my nieces and nephews are in town, and it's like a kid thing, but. We were talking, they're like, no, like, even just as adults, like, you can go in there and have a great time. Like, it's a great, like, first date idea.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't necessarily just even have to have kids to go there.
Right.
And that was nice that they encouraged me for that, because otherwise I would have been like, yeah, I'm not going in there unless I'm with children,
Right.
Adrian, you got anything, man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he stole Wonderland. That's what I was going to say. No.
Are we drafting?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have such great public parks and spaces in town. I just think like doing a tour of those, seeing all the public art in town and going to the parks.
Even getting out to Griffey. And,
yeah, for sure. Lake Monroe.
Well, it's wild. You don't realize how much stuff Parks and Rec covers. Like, it's nuts when you think about what their budget is and how much they have to like maintain and keep up. It's wild when you think about just how much land it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're a fan of music, I experienced my first like tonk night at the Blockhouse a few weeks ago because they did a Granfalloon soul tonk night.
I saw that on the when Garrett was going through that timeline earlier on the site. I saw soul tonk on there. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, we did that in partnership with the Neil Marshall Black Culture Center on campus, and it was a blast, but also just like a door into just the talent that exists here and the house band that's playing and everyone that got up there and sang was fantastic and just a great night to be in Bloomington. And I imagine any tonk night is kind of like that.
Every Tuesday night at the Blockhouse. David James has been on here to talk about Blockhouse. It's a great episode. So David and I went 4th grade through senior year together in high school in Indy. And what he's done with Blockhouse is so cool. Yeah. And I called him once. I was like, really needed a band last minute for Food Truck Friday. Like someone canceled. I was like, hey man, any way you can get the tonk band together. And they came out and just crushed it. And you got rotating singers and rotating this or that. Yeah. And just such an insane group of talent. Right. And just the way they worked together, it was really cool. It helped us out in a pinch, but it was even better than the band we would have had. I was like, this is great. Right. So that's awesome that you guys did the soul tonk down there. So you guys have this lineup, Garrett. I would think you can show this on the screen, but this is all this stuff. Do you guys want to kind of give a brief overview of some of this stuff that you guys have here?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I mean, we've kind of broken the festival down into 4 areas. There's concerts and performances, which all sorts of music and theater stuff. We've talked about the main stage concert and the second stage concert a bit. I want to highlight the June 4th and 6th, God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater, the cabaret style performance. So we work with IU Musical Theater, and they put on these kind of like, basically like tap house type musical theater performances where they're singing the songs, but the production, it's there's not a lot of props or scenes or things like that, but they do it at the Bishop. Which is not a space where you would expect to go see a musical theater production.
No, not at all.
And they did this last year with the Sondheim production Assassins, kind of in connection with Jailbird, which was our novel that last year. So God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater is a Vonnegut story that was adapted by Alan Menken. Yes, the Alan Menken. And then I'm blanking on his name, Howard Ashman, who's actually an IU grad. These just like amazing lyricists and composers, songwriters.
So he did the score for Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaid. That's wild.
Yeah. But this was one of the first projects that they worked on together. Was this Kurt Vonnegut musical theater adaptation? Wow. And so IU's going to put this together on at the Bishop, and it's going to be it's like both of last year's performances were just like totally packed and it was incredible. So when you ask me like what's going on in Granfalloon, like this is like
where do you start?
Right. There's just
I feel like Stefan from SNL.
Granfalloon has everything.
Can you do a good Bill Hader impression? I will make it.
That's why I brought it up.
Oh, you do one?
I don't. I was going to. Granfalloon has everything.
Yeah. All right. I'll take it. That was perfect. And then you have all these talks, readings, and discussions as well. So it's not just the concerts.
Right. Which there I'll highlight, our keynote talk with Linda Berry. Linda Berry was, she's an author, an artist, very much, I think, practices art and thinks about art in the same way that Vonnegut did that. It's something that can be taught and just like belongs to everyone, and everyone should be practicing. Everyone should be creative. And she was actually a faculty member with the IU Writers Conference for a couple of years. And we're bringing her back in partnership with the IU Writers Conference, which also runs during that main Granfalloon week as sort of a celebration of their 85th anniversary. And so she's going to be giving a free keynote talk at the Buskirk-Chumley Theater. Just one of her kind of famed talks about, creativity and kind of how to be creative and how to think about, writing and drawing and kind of breaking through creative blocks and things like that. And doing a Q&A afterwards and then a book signing.
Wow. So Bishop on the 4th, you go Buskirk on the 5th. The No Dishes podcast is brought to you by visitbloomington.com. VisitBloomington.com is the best resource for restaurant and culinary information, special events, fun activities, places to stay, and more in our area. We share a similar mission here on the No Dishes podcast of highlighting local businesses and the people who make our community unique. We can't thank them enough for hopping on board. Check them out at visitbloomington.com to easily plan your next meal, visit, or night out on the town. The Bloomington Town Planner is a community calendar owned and published by local residents John and Sharon Martin. Mailed out to Bloomington homes in December of each year, it features school schedules and community events. And don't forget the coupons at the bottom of the calendar. They'll save you money and help you decide on the next restaurant or retailer to check out here in the Bloomington area. Town Planner also has an online calendar which can be found at townplanner.com. Make sure to sign up for their weekly e-newsletter so you can stay on top of all the fun events going on around town. Back to the Bishop on the 6th, and then the 7th you got Kirkwood.
Yeah, right.
It's literally every day.
Yeah, right.
And the BCT has I'm With Her Friday night as well. Just tons going on. I think we had close to 40 events this year.
That's incredible.
Stretching back into the semester, and then about half of them happened between June 4th and 8th.
Yeah.
So definitely a time to come to Bloomington and be here for as much as it is you can.
Well, and that's why I'm just glad you guys came on, because so many people, myself included in the past, have just thought, oh, Granfalloon, it's this concert, and that's what it is. But it's so much more, and it's at all these different venues, and organizing it, I'm sure, is a lot of work. So props to you guys.
Thanks. We have a lot of great partners that do a lot of work. So our team works hard for sure. Thanks for saying that. But I think the more we do this, the more people come to the table and want to be a part of it. And so that's been a fun way to see it grow and develop.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's gotten to the point where people are, instead of us like desperately going to people being like, how do we get food trucks? That we're getting folks coming to us saying like, hey, like I hear that this is the date this is going on. How can I be involved?
That's great.
That's kind of how we've known that, oh, like this is kind of like reached this point where people are looking to be a part of it, which is really great.
See, that's really refreshing for me to hear, because as much as people loved Taste of Bloomington, are excited for it to come back, I still feel like we need to have this successful year to then make it a lot easier moving forward. Once they see this new iteration and like see what it can be again, then it won't be us reaching out as much as people coming to us. Yeah. It'll make it a lot easier. Yeah. So thank you. That was very encouraging for me to hear that's happened. Last thing I want to dive into with you guys. We're a food podcast. We gotta. This is the fun part.
Right. This is why we came here.
Not that the rest wasn't fun. Yeah. So we, favorite coffee shops, burgers, pizza, fine dining, favorite watering hole. I want all of it. I want that. What a Gerard and Adrian. What do they love for all these different itches they need to scratch? And for those that are listening, they need to find out. It seems like you guys are in the know.
Yeah, should we go meal by meal?
Let's go. Dude, I got time, and I will talk food for hours.
Yeah. Well, I'm not great at breakfast, but I love coffee and love the Inkwell for sure. And also Poindexter at the Graduate.
Yeah.
They're a great partner for Granfalloon, but They make some good coffee there. So
yeah, people forget about Poindexter, but I'll go in there every now and then. They're popping off. And I just saw Andrew Harris today, the GM over there, really community minded, wants to help out. So even though they were bought by Hilton, they're still very good community local partners.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like good to recognize that, you know. And then Inkwell, my God, dude, I just like pretty much every time someone's like, you want to grab, like do a coffee meeting? I'm like, yeah, Inkwell in the Square sound good?
Yeah.
It's a no brainer. What's your like, are you an Americano guy?
I'm a Cortado guy.
Oh, even classier.
Yeah, with the pinky out.
Yeah.
It's a little smaller.
My bad. I underestimated you.
No.
Gerard, are those similar favorite go-to coffees for you?
I mean, I feel like you really can't go wrong in Bloomington. I think just to add a couple more names to that list, I'm big fans of hopscotch. I know Aaron and Jeff pretty well. And they've been great festival partners, but also just in general. I mean, they're
artists and they're creatives.
Yes, right.
And yeah.
Exactly. And you know, I think I like popping by Soma too, especially the one on Kirkwood. It's just it's such a perfect college town type of space. I always bump my head when I'm in there, but I still love
bathroom?
I try not to because I always hurt myself.
I almost am like, I got to go into the super quirky bathroom.
Right.
I'm not mad about it. It's hilarious. If you haven't been into the Grant in Kirkwood, Soma, go use the bathroom. It's fun.
And wear a helmet.
Yeah, hard hat required. But no, I'm glad you showed them some love because I love meeting at the Hop Kitchen and actually just had a meeting last week at Soma on Kirkwood and like you said, you can't go wrong. It's a embarrassment of riches almost for the
they're all good. It's almost like every day you just hit a different one.
And I like Crumble too. You know, I hit up that 10th and College Crumble quite a bit.
Why not?
Yeah. So you don't do breakfast well? Is that just
I could
have let that comment
It's
go.
not a strength of mine.
Yeah. Like I just don't know how to make eggs. I've been trying my whole life.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have good favorite like lunch meeting spots that you guys hit up? Or what about just your favorite dish? Like if someone's come to Bloomington and they're staying for one night, they get to have one meal.
Right. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to give two, I think, sort of like personal preferences here. I love Rush Hour. I'm a big banh mi guy, and I know they have more than banh mi, but like banh mi is just a food that I could eat. Like if I had to pick one food to eat for like the rest of my life, like I could just like never get sick of it.
Okay.
And it's within walking distance of our office, and so when I need to pick me up or forgot my lunch at home or whatever, I'll go over to Rush Hour and they'll serve it up along with some French fries. I'm a big French fry guy.
Yeah, well, you get your banh mi and your French fry. No,
right.
I'm glad you mentioned Rush Hour. They deserve love.
Yeah,
so
good.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, and they don't get brought up enough, honestly. So.
And then as far as like a place in town that is really really special to me is Little Tibet. My wife and I, we had our rehearsal dinner there.
Wow.
Pema is super sweet. And he, we used to go meet there for lunch, and then we were like, why don't we just have a rehearsal dinner here? And we met with him, and he gave us like a whole half of the, it's a small little house restaurant, but he gave us like a whole half of it. And my family was in there, her family was in there, and it's actually been tough for us to go back because my wife's father was a food critic, so she grew up, just sort of getting to go out to all of the new restaurants in St. Louis.
Okay.
And he passed away like 3 weeks after our wedding. And so that was like the last place that like she had a meal with him.
That's tough.
And so, I mean, we
just stirs up a lot of emotion.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So like, that's just like a very, it holds a very dear place in our hearts, and we love it and we'll always think fondly of it, but it's also a really tough place for us to go.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah. I mean, you can have it kind of both ways, you know, one doesn't negate the other,
Yeah.
Pema, so I actually reached out to him recently about coming back on because he did an episode when we were audio only, and it was probably the most riveting story, his personal story.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
Blew my socks off, and I was like, man. Now that we've gotten larger, we're doing like, you need to come back on and like tell your story. And he's like, yeah. So I'm hoping to get that book soon because I just remember we sat down. And this was 5 years ago now, and dove right in.
Yeah.
He just dove right in. I didn't have to pull anything out of him. And I just sat there just like, jaw drop just the whole time of what he's been through and just what an amazing human being he is. And then it's just like, that's the whole purpose we do this podcast. You get to meet these people and then you just the appreciation for those dishes and that food and what they're putting out.
Right.
It just goes through the roof.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm a big pizza guy myself. I celebrate all the pizza in town.
Yeah.
Also love Rush Hour, Little Tibet for sure. But super excited that Max's Place is
So
back.
good, yeah.
It's so good.
Travers and Abel just came on, and we were talking about them with Sam, who just came on from Bonafide Bites. She used to play in a bluegrass band for 15 years. And we were talking about the intersection of music and culinary and just like how they just go hand in hand. And so many people do shows and bars and restaurants, and how great it is to see Max's with Travers, who's an artist, and doing open mic nights with really good pizza and chef-driven salads from Abel. And and Max's is right down the road from my house too. So it's like
dangerous.
it's turning, it's turning into this little pizza corner. Have you had Heartwork Brewing's pizza?
Oh my gosh, I haven't had it yet,
dude. It's so good.
Go. Yeah.
But two different styles. But it's nice that's kind of turned into this little like pizza. People used to joke about the chicken corn on the east side, but
Chicken
that's
strip.
Now with Max's and Heartwork, and you're just like, okay, north side represent.
All right. Yeah.
Artwork's going to be out at the June 7th event this
nice.
year. We're excited to have them alongside Cardinal Spirits, Friendly Beasts Cidery, BBC, and Upland.
Wow, you guys are I feel like that's an expanded. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, it's expanded, but we're excited to have them all out.
Yeah, they're just great people at all those places. They're all going to participate in taste, and I love working with Jesse at Upland, Amanda at BBC, Toby now at Friendly Beast, Aubrey and Jeff and Dan at Heartwork, and it's just the collaborative spirit in Bloomington is just like bar none. It's just so, I don't know. I love it because it's just so people just want to do stuff, and people that you would think would be competitors are just down to work together.
Oh yeah. That's definitely been our experience too. Like they're all just helping each other out, sharing ice, sharing helping each other out,
matching the wristbands, and they're all talking all the time, so.
Making your life easy. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm excited. Granfalloon, it's coming up. Anything that we didn't get to touch on that you want people to know about Granfalloon? Granfalloon.indiana.edu.
Yeah. I was just going to say, go to the website and check out everything that's coming up. And please join us for as much as you can. We'd be happy to see you there.
Oh yeah. Adrian, Gerard, been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on, fellas.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan.
Cheers. What another fun episode, huh, gang? Thanks to Visit Bloomington, as always, for being our presenting sponsors. Thanks to Everywhere Science for this cool sign. Nate and team hooked it up. And thanks to you for watching so we can keep doing this. See you next Tuesday morning with another new episode of the No Dishes Podcast. This episode of the No Dishes Podcast was recorded, edited, and produced by Garrett Portinga of Green Hat Media in beautiful downtown Bloomington, Indiana.
No Dishes Media.
No Dishes Media.